And what's happening, YouTube? It's 5:41 a.m. Monday, April 17th, 2023. And checking the date on Obamaphone 3, and it's doing some weird twitchy stuff. I've actually been kind of using it tonight. As god awful as its screen is, like it's still kind of functional. I almost shot video with it on the way into work. Man, that last segment was something. All those crazy people that apparently weren't even waiting for the bus. They're just loitering there at 19th Avenue, just south of Bethany Home Road, and yeah, it was. I gotta admit that was a little nerve-wracking, but you know, I'm not giving up. I'm sticking by my thing. I'm trying to document, like, when I'm doing those bus journeys, just how long it takes for the buses to show up, and just what kind of craziness happens at the bus stops for those who are considering taking transit in Phoenix. Anyway, yeah, I was. I would have done my next segment on old Obamaphone 3 with the smash screen. That's the T-Mobile TCL thing. I think it's just a Revel 4 when I go into its properties. Anyway, I took the when I set this phone up, I took the micro SD card that was in it, which I forget what size it is. I want to say it's a 64 gig. It's a pretty decent sized card. Both that phone and this phone have a slot for micro SD cards. And I went ahead and took that micro SD card out, copied all the contents of it onto my karaoke computer, and then formatted it fresh when I put it in this phone. By the way, I'm shooting on Obamaphone 4 right now. Anyway, while I was riding the bus to work, I checked the properties. Because the way it works when you've got a micro SD card is you can go into your camera properties and tell it where you want it to record the video. And I had it set to record on the micro SD card, and it just automatically changed that over to the internal memory when I took the micro SD card out, which doesn't surprise me. I wanted to check it, and I hadn't checked it. And yeah, there's plenty of space on it. I could shoot video with it. And I've had that phone long enough. In fact, I've had that phone over a year. I recently got a message from Assurance Wireless telling me that I can now unlock it to use with any other carrier, which is funny because the thing is just trashed, and I honestly don't think that I could get it repaired. Like, I think it's one of those kind of phones where it's just so inexpensive to replace it that nobody sells parts to repair it. I mean, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping I can maybe get it fixed. I'm not going to say I've completely ruled out the possibility of doing it. But anyway, I'm still kind of using it. It's still sort of a functional device, especially since my iPhone has completely shit the bed. Which, by the way, if you're wondering why I've been back to uploading every little segment as a separate video rather than combining them, that's why. I don't have any kind of video editing software for Android, and I should really look into that. So yeah, I had been always, even if I shot it on the Android phones, I've been moving it over to well, I mean, lately it's just been Obamaphone 4. The oh man, I forget the brand name. I want to say ANS or something like that. Anyway, wow, we got tents over here. More tents than there was before. Oh, speaking of tent type shelters, that's interesting. Not sure if y'all can see that. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. Yeah, somebody set up a tarp right there along the edge of the unfinished side of the 79th Avenue Bridge there. And I would imagine there's kind of a hole there, and I would imagine they've just dug out that hole bigger. Now, how far they've dug underneath the overpass, who knows? I can't see under that tarp. I'm not going to go move it and look. But I'll give that guy points for creating creative shelter. Although I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. It's too loud over here for me. Wow. That's the first time I've seen water coming out of that like that. For the flower bush there, which is in bloom. Part of me wants to drink that because I'm crazy thirsty, and then part of me is thinking that it's very likely reclaimed water, which is basically poo water. And yeah, I'm not that eager to taste it and find out. If I knew for sure it was tap water, I'd go for it. But I do know a lot of landscaping, especially public landscaping like that. Phoenix and the Valley area uses reclaimed water, also known as brown water. So it's nothing you want to drink, and I have no way of knowing what that is. So yeah, hard pass. Anyway, the reason that I didn't shoot any more video from the rest of my journey after leaving the Christown area, after my run-ins with all the crazy people, is when I got on the 19 southbound, I actually sat down next to a couple of my coworkers from GYR3, two people that I've known for quite a long time. I would have never in a million years guessed they were a married couple. They're just so, I don't know, different, I guess. But I don't know, it was kind of cool hanging out with them together, and they're both people that I've worked with for quite a while. One of them works with me in manual palletize. He's generally one of the pallet builders. And it's not like I talk to him a lot, but he's like there in the same area. And then his wife, she's a problem solver over in Prep and Receive. There were a couple of times when I was working in Prep and Receive where I noticed there were some issues with the weights of items. And so many people that work over there are just so fixated on rate, how many items per hour they're processing into the totes, and of course the purpose of rate is to keep people on task. I keep on task. I got a solid work ethic, but I would just rather focus on quality and maximizing the tote usage. So I'm getting the maximum amount of product in the minimum amount of space, which is better for the environment. When it comes down to the shipping, and then I'm also trying to make sure that everything is correct. I'm watching the screen really close for errors in the data, and I've noticed a lot of people don't. They're just trying to process the stuff as quick as they can. And there were a couple of times where I noticed some gross errors in weight, and rather than just saying, whatever, and just processing the stuff and not caring, when I mentioned it to a couple other people, they're like, oh, don't worry about it, just load it. And yeah, I just knew that wasn't right. And when I brought it to her attention, she actually took care of it. So now I don't know if she remembers that and remembers that was me, because it's been a while. But anyway, it was cool hanging out with them, and did the bus transfer with them from the 19 to the 3 at 19th and Van Buren, which is not such a pleasant place to do a bus transfer. There is a Jack in the Box over there, but it's like just far enough away from the corner that there goes my bus right there heading north. So I think that's it. So I gotta wait for that to go on up to the mall and then double back. I think I'll have a seat in the radio. So yeah, since I was just kind of hanging with them and chatting with them, of course I didn't shoot video there. And what was even more surprising, they got off at 75th Avenue to the QT. She's on a motorized wheelchair, and he actually, when they're together, he'll actually stand on the back of it as she scoots along with the thing. And some of those motorized wheelchairs go pretty quick. I don't know how fast it goes, honestly, but based on how quickly they showed up in the break room after I did, and I stayed on the bus over to 79th and then walked directly over. But yeah, it wasn't too long after I got a sandwich, so they had time to shop and then roll over from the QT at 75th and Van Buren. So I'm assuming it must move pretty quick. I've actually had the pleasure of getting around like that once. My good friend Wes, who died of multiple sclerosis, right around the time my marriage was falling apart. And I'm not even trying to relive my divorce, but yeah, his last weekend in Phoenix before he moved to San Diego, and I forget what year it was. I want to say 1999, I think. Yeah, we went bar hopping in Sunny Slope, and that's how we got around from bar to bar. I didn't care what anybody thought of how we looked. You know what? Wes was one of my best friends, definitely like my best friend at the time, and I knew I wasn't going to get to hang out with him again for quite some time, if ever, with the distance between San Diego and Phoenix, and me not having a personal car at the time, and him being, wheelchair bound and not able to drive anymore. Yeah, I rolled around on the back of his wheelchair as we went bar hopping, and we went to all the little dive bars that Express Cab used to use loyally, like the Dewdrop Inn, and two others right there in that area of, like, right in the middle of Sunny Slope there on 7th Street and on Hatcher, and it was a good time, and it was frightening how quick that thing moved. And of course, like, by the time we were going back to his place after last call, we were both just hammered. But which of course brings the question, can you get a DUI on a motorized wheelchair? I don't think so. I'd love to see the cop try to give that ticket. Anyway, so yeah, that rode with them until mostly we're just talking about, how things have been, just talking shop. It's certainly been an interesting week at GYR3 last week, between the fire Monday night and it's been really busy. Like, I keep hearing through the Amazon FC subreddit and through the just general news that Amazon business is dropping. Although the stocks have been coming back up in value recently, like the last few weeks, and definitely, from what I'm reading, there are certain fulfillment centers that are not getting a lot of business. But as I've said before, where I work is not a fulfillment center; it's actually a crossbound dock. So we're basically a processing center and a sort center where product comes in, gets sorted and distributed, and then sent out all over the United States. Some of it more prep than others, and I've definitely noticed there are certain warehouses that we used to send a lot of stuff to that we don't send that much to anymore. But there are some that we send a lot of product to. So, and there's new ones that we pick up all the time. So, anyway, so yeah, it's been pretty chaotically busy lately. So we were just talking shop, and the funny thing was, like, when they got off, I figured I would probably shoot video just from Van Buren on up to work. And I was surprised that when I got off the bus and I turned around, that Joe, one of the other outbound forklift drivers, got off with me. And I guess he was sitting in the back of the bus. I didn't even notice him, but he was watching the Suns playoff game on his smartphone, and was still kind of watching it. But we were just kind of chatting and talking on the way into the building. That's about actually a little over a half-mile walk from that bus stop, to the front of the building. It's I went in, got something to eat because I was damn hungry by the time I got to work. And good night at work tonight. Worked a little bit on pallet receive. I'm not doing as much moving of pallet receive now. They've kind of changed the way it's done, and they're doing it more with water spiders and pallet jacks, as opposed to having me do it with a forklift, which is fine by me. I was mostly loading stuff today in Doc's I think I know the numbers off the top of my head. 336, 337, and 338. Those were the three I was in. I did bring some pallet receive across to the other drivers, mostly when the guys that were doing it with the pallet jacks would lean in and ask me, "Hey, can you go get this? It's kind of wedged in the back." And I'd be like, "No problem," and I'd move a few things around. New female water spider that was working with the pallet receive stuff today, and I think it's her first day in the apartment. Oh my God, she is freaking gorgeous. Yeah, I need to try not to be distracted by that. And she's super sweet. She keeps coming over to talk to me, mostly just about work. I mean, not about anything outside of work, but I mean, still, like, she did notice that there's stuff that I did, that I was doing that other people weren't doing, and she asked me about it. At one point this morning, we ran out of sides for the manual palletized cases, the UPB case sides, which basically forces the people that are doing manual palletized to build them like a regular pallet and shrink wrap them. But the people that do that really don't know how to do that. So, yeah, I'm just not happy with the way they come. So I pretty much, some of them I completely tear them down and rebuild them, like take every box off the pallet and rebuild them. And then some of them I just kind of shuffle them a little bit and wrap them a little tighter. But anyway, that was my thing this morning. It was fun. Anyway, I got to get on the bus. Thanks for coming with on the walk.